I'm just going to hit. How do you know when it's recording?
It's recording.
Ah,
it's on the screen.
Hello, everybody. I'm Astrologer Dawn, and you are?
I'm Mary Dalba.
And today we're going to be talking about what's coming up over the next 9 months to 2 years, the opportunities that are coming, and also discovering what's coming up for you personally. We're also going to be offering you some kind of special that we're going to be doing for each of you. And we'll talk more about that later. But given our extensive knowledge and experience, I like to say that about ourselves, that we have with astrology, tarot, human design, and mediumship, not both of us with both of those things, but about which one has what. We wanted to talk about astrologically what was going on and how these things affect you. Go ahead, Mary, take it away.
Well, yeah, we feel like right now, especially with everything going on, talking about the 5 areas that are really important to you right now, or just important in life in general. So we look at finances and career, relationships, health, and of course, spiritual growth. Those are the things that our clients ask us the most about. So we wanted to talk to you about them because they're something that we talk about all the time and that are important to us. So we wanted to bring more information out there for everyone.
And I think that today we're going to just focus on finances because we can talk a lot about all of this and it becomes more confusing. So we're going to split these recordings up. So this one is going to be about finances, which means we're also going to be talking about Jupiter. You know, and we're talking about the changes that come into people's lives, those aha moments, those traumas that happen, like some of you lost loved ones. And so that's a trauma to your body and your being. And it can make you shift and change. And small ones as well. There are some small ones we've talked about before.
Yeah. I mean, for me, my big change around my career was when I had gotten laid off 3 times in 3 years. And the third time I got laid off 3 days before that. So 3 days was very big around this, but 3 days before I got laid off for the third time, my dad was diagnosed with a cancer that has a very low survival rate. So in that time, I realized a lot about what I wanted to do. And I realized I did not want to go back in the corporate world. He had run his own company. It was time for me to take that plunge again because I had tried it once and did not do well with it. But it has been successful ever since. So sometimes it's big things like that that make you look at your life and how you're spending it.
Well, I think I did that with my son. You know, when my son Zachary was born, before he was born, it was like, well, I'm going to give birth to him. I'm going to dump him in daycare, and I guess I'll get back to my life. And none of that happened. You know, my kids were homeschooled, and I was involved in pretty much everything in their lives. And so I had to completely change what I was doing. I was working in the mortgage industry and title. And I just said, that's not going to work for me. I'm going to need to do something that I really care about. And that brings me a lot of joy. And immediately I knew my metaphysical stuff with that. I was like, well, why can't I do that? What would stop me from spending more time doing that? And I found that it gave me that kind of balance. Now, did it cause financial problems? Absolutely. When I decided to do that, we had $5,000 in savings. Steve was getting $180 on unemployment a week because he just got out of the military. We had a $900 mortgage payment on our first house. So within the first 3 months, we missed the first mortgage payment. We missed the car payment. We ran up all the credit cards. And I would have people like Sears calling me and saying, you know, I can't believe you're not paying your bill. And I would start talking to them about their astrological chart. And do they really know if they're in the correct career? And people wouldn't ask me about money. And my husband would say, how do you do that? And I'm like, because I'm so clear. I do not want to take a job doing something I don't really want to do anymore. And the finances are going to figure themselves out. End of 3 months, suddenly I started making quite a bit of money doing what I was doing. And my husband got a job. So, you know, everything got sorted out, the payments and, you know, credit report got cleared up. But I wasn't going to be attached to that. I wasn't going to let money stop me from doing something that I cared about and that would also help my family because I'd be happier and I'd be able to spend time with my son. And, you know, a lot of things go into it, but it was like a whoosh when he was born. That's what it was.
Yeah. I think it's things like that that make us, we have to really trust that what we are feeling at that time and our intuition, which is a lot of what we talk about, Dawn, is, you know, our intuition. If it's saying to us, like, this is what I need to do, then we have to trust, because if not, it's just going to get louder and louder, and we need to work on it. Like, I have a client of mine who works in the medical field, and she's not on the front lines, but she is in an office and she's working from home, and she's trying to schedule patients and work with them and stuff like that. And she thought she really loved doing that. And I think she does, but she's also realizing now that it's not what she wants to do. And I think something's triggered in her with being home and just the
Mhm.
virus and how she's seen it affect people. To she's always been a writer, and now she's decided she wants to continue with that and to also publish other people's writings and help other people, because it's her passion. And so seeing it in a different way, seeing her job in a different way, and working in a different location and trying different things, she's like, you know what, I think this is really what I want to do. So she's like setting up a whole website and doing work after work, but she's home. So she has the opportunity to start to launch something
Yeah.
once everything kind of, comes back to quote normal, which we're going to talk about how that doesn't really come back to normal. Um, but yeah, there's no such thing anymore, but how she can move it into a new space. And this has given her the freedom to do that, which is great.
Well, and I think the other thing is, many, many years ago, I wrote the top 10 justifications for people not
Hmm.
following their dreams. Number one is money. Number 10 is money. And we
Yeah.
use money as an excuse
Hmm.
not to do the things we love. And how we use it as an excuse is don't track it. Sometimes don't know exactly to the penny how much we spend on groceries, how much do you spend on life insurance, what about gas for the car, what about the electric, mortgage, rent. We don't take accountability. We say, oh, I spend about this much, oh, I spend about that much. But what I've noticed over the years, especially with my coaching clients, they'll say to me, I want to make more money. And I say to them, give me a number, how much is more? And they'll be like,
Hmm.
what do you mean? I'm like, well, you say more money, so how much is more?
Right.
They don't know, because money is not going to solve everything. And you don't know how much you need unless you know the kind of life
Right.
that you want to live. So really, you have to get clear about the life you want to live.
Yeah.
Then you'll know how much money you need. The number of
Right.
people I'm sure you've talked to over the years that will say, if I just had another $5,000, if I just had another $20,000.
Hmm.
You and I both have clients that have millions of dollars, and they say the same thing. One of my clients is petrified. She has 3 million in a bank account, in a checking account, and it's just in a checking account, and she's petrified she's going to lose it, even though she's got millions elsewhere. And it's
Yeah.
like, and then I have clients, that maybe have $6 in their savings account, and they're just as worried. So it doesn't really
No.
matter, because we've got to get rid of that attachment, because we can make money in a way that works for us. We just have to get clear about what that looks like. Let's talk a
Right.
little bit about finances in terms of Jupiter, because Jupiter,
Yeah.
which is the planet of growth, luck, and expansion, and is usually the planet we both see, especially around money, that
Hmm.
can grow your money, can expand it. That has been in the sign of Capricorn since 2019, December the 3rd, and will stay in there. Actually, I don't know when it will stay in there. I think it's December the 19th, 2020. That's this year. So we've got until, I think, the end of the year, Jupiter being in Capricorn.
You're December 18th, your day off, Dawn.
Okay, got it right. Um, so this, it's crazy, because you'd think with everybody losing their jobs and money being the way it is, this wouldn't be a good time. However, again, Capricorn is about business. Capricorn is about what structure, do you need to put in place? And writing, talking, any kind of communication is an earth-based thing. Capricorn's an earth-based sign. So we've got to do more connecting, more talking, more writing, about what works for us and what doesn't in our finances. And I think that's a
Yeah.
big.
I think it is too. And Jupiter is all about expansion and sometimes can be overindulgence. And so Capricorn kind of comes in and says, Yeah, no, we want you to grow, but in a way that has some stability and some structure around it. So that's kind of cool because Jupiter's got the big dreams, and then Capricorn's like, well, how are you going to get to the big dreams? Let's create the framework for that.
Yeah.
So it can be sobering if you want to say, but it can also be like, slow, methodical, very steady, so that the dreams can grow. You don't just plant a
Sure.
flower and then hope it's going to grow. You have to water it, you have to tend to it. It's sort of the
Yeah.
same thing. The
Yeah.
idea is there, but what are you doing to grow it?
Yeah. Well, I think it's really important when somebody comes to me as a coaching client. I'm sure you do the same thing with your coaching clients. I have them track their money for 3 months. I mean, every penny. You go to Circle K and you buy a gallon of milk, it needs to go down on your list. Every penny that comes in and every penny that goes out before you can decide if that's a place you want to spend the money. I'm going to give you a great example. Many, many years ago, I was coaching a woman, and she would go to work every day and she'd stop and get a Starbucks. And sometimes she'd get it for her boss as well. She added up the money. It was about $90 a month she was spending on that. So she went to her boss and she said, I'm going to give up Starbucks. I can't afford to pay for yours anymore. And he said, okay. And so she said to me, I really would like to take a yoga class. And it's $40 a month to take it regularly. And I said, well, how about you cut out half of your Starbucks and use the money to go and take this class, which is what she did. At the end of the month, she said, well, there's a woman in my class who's giving massages for $50 a time. I'd like to do that. And I said, well, are you going to give up your coffee for the massage? What are you going to do? She said, yeah, I'm going to give up the coffee. So she didn't cost her any more. She just changed what was important to her.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I would have given up the Starbucks for that because I love my Starbucks. but that was her choice.
Mm-hmm.
Something great happened from that. She was a paralegal. She went to work one day and her boss went, da-da, and he opened the door of the kitchen and he had bought one of those big coffee makers that you can make espresso and lattes, and he bought a fridge and filled it up with all the correct things so that he could have it at work and so could she. So she ended up getting her coffee, paid for by her. She got yoga class, massage.
Right.
So actually she was better off, but it was because I insisted, and she insisted as well, we put that focus on where is your money going?
Right.
When I very first did this, I think I was paying, so this is 20 years ago, when I first did the tracking, I think I was spending like, I don't know, $9 a month on People magazine. My kids were really young and we used to go to the library. Well, People magazine was at the library. So I just said, well, that's $9 a month. I don't need to spend. And it doesn't matter that it's $9 a month or $90 a month.
Right.
I didn't need to spend it because I could go to the library while my kids were in some class there. I'd sit and read the magazine. Yeah. So it's not just about where you spend your money, but it's also asking the universe to show you how to replace certain things,
right.
How to indulge me in a positive way in finding ways to give me the things that that I want and need, but it's not going to cost me an exorbitant amount.
Right. And I think it's really saying to ourselves, like, what is important to me as far as my money? So like the coffee can be, but if we want yoga and massage, it's just shifting where the energy is going, because money is energy. And so I think being more aware and clearer about where that energy is going. So if you look at it like energy too, it's like, oh, wow, okay, so I want my energy to flow this way so that I can change things up. And then, like you said, her boss, that example you used, her boss went and got all the stuff for the coffee. So it worked out. But it's telling the universe, like, I really want to make these other things my priority. And the universe flows in there.
Right, because it's about what's most important to you. And coffee may be most important to somebody else, as opposed to, there's no shame, blame, or judgment attached to anything that Mary and I do. You do whatever you want. And that's another big thing, is we get very attached to what other people are spending their money on, or other people think we ought to be spending our money on, because money is a huge, in the world, it's a huge thing. It's what we use, greenbacks, what we use in America and other countries in order for us to buy the goods. If we lived in the middle of nowhere, we might be trading llamas, or I might be making you pumpkin bread, or that's really, it depends on the culture that you live in. America is based on capitalism. So we are going to have to look at capitalism in a very different way.
We are. We are.
Normal, whatever you thought normal was, there is no normal. You're going to need to create your own normal, which means you're going to have to look at your money. Do you want to continue spending it where it's being spent, or would you like to spend it somewhere else? What can you give up? What can you gain? Can you bargain with somebody or barter with somebody?
Yeah, bartering. It's wonderful.
Bartering is a great thing to be doing. Who can you learn something from, and what do you have to give back? You know, sometimes that could be a great thing. That happened for me with my website when I very first started. I bartered with somebody who needed coaching to grow their business, and they created my website. I'm like, oh, that works.
Yeah.
So in amongst all of this, so all's moving along quite nicely right now. However, come May the 15th to September the 13th, Jupiter, planet of luck, growth, expansion, indulgence, that's going to go retrograde. So tell me a little bit about, Mary, what Jupiter retrograde, what can we expect with Jupiter retrograde in Capricorn?
Well, I think it's going to make us try to look internally at what we need to do as far as our finances. So if you think about the time, that's right around the time, if everything holds up as well as it can, that we are coming out back into trying to go back to work or looking for new jobs. And then Jupiter's like, well, hold on. It's making us reflect inward. So it's not that we can't get jobs, and it's not that we can't grow our finances, but Jupiter's really forcing us to go inward as to what we need to figure out as far as the structures in place for that financial growth. So it's interesting because here we are, we're going to be coming out of the gate ready to go. But Jupiter might say, slow growth. So that's going to be a really good time for us to look at, like you said, what our finances, what are they doing? What kind of job do we need? What kind of job do we want? Or career? I mean, because it's bigger than a job. It's our career now. So what do we need as far as possessions? I think a lot of people right now are clearing out possessions that they don't need, and they're getting ready to donate things, and they're becoming clearer. So that time is going to be huge for kind of adding on to, all right, we've cleaned out a lot of our physical possessions. What about cleaning out some of our ideas about finances or what we need to do financially?
Well, the number of people, I just spoke with a woman yesterday who has a boss with what she calls the short man syndrome. He's a lot smaller than her. He's vertically challenged, as she tells me. And she's frightened to speak up because every time we do a role play, and I even do it really gently, not being Dawn. I try and not do it as the way I would do it because I'd be fired in a heartbeat. You know, I start, and each time it was, and I'm scared he's going to fire me if I say that. And he's going to fire me if I say that. And all the stuff I was suggesting was factual, was professional. I did not say it in a rude manner like I would normally do. And she still couldn't say that for the fear of financial, that this man had power over her in being able to control her life financially or not. And we all have to get out of that. We have to get out of that headspace that somebody else can control us that way. And it really just takes time again. And we've got the time. Those of you who are watching this, hopefully you'll stay in place, especially those of you who are in the countries that Mary and I are both in. So England, Australia, New Zealand, hello Cayman Island friends.
Hello Cayman Islands.
And of course, across the USA as well, and South Africa. So it's, you know, everywhere across the world, we are doing different things that are keeping us away from other people physically. This is this is a great opportunity to go, well, how much money do I really need? And do I really want to do that? The other thing is, like my husband said, he's working from home. He's an essential, he works for the government. So he said, do you have any idea how much money we save this month? You'd be working from home. I'm like, on gas. And I'm like, no. He's like, $400. I'm like, what?
Wow.
We live in Phoenix, Arizona. You know, what would normally take him 50 minutes to get to work, he actually went into the office the other day at like 4 a.m. in the morning, and nobody else was around because they had a few people staggered in the state. And there was he saw 2 cars. on the freeways of in Phoenix, Arizona. I mean, he said 2 cars I saw on the way, and I didn't see any on the way back. I'm like, wow, we really are making changes.
We are. We are.
Yeah,
It's crazy out in the roads. It's just, I had to go down to get pick up a couple of things from the grocery store, and there's not as many people out. And gas was so cheap. It was crazy.
oh, really? I never thought
Crazy.
about that.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
the other money piece is there's going to be businesses. There's 2 things: businesses that will go away, and businesses that will be started because of what we've been.
Yes. Yes.
It's that when something happens to us to make that swift change. I remember I was telling you the other day that I was watching something on TV about a doctor whose child had a problem with their heart. So they went back and got more training to be a heart surgeon, and then started a company that invented some kind of special valve. And, I mean, there's no coincidences that he was already a doctor.
No.
There's never a coincidence.
No.
Well, a client of mine who lost her husband when she was really young, and she had young children. And so she went through this, what about other children all over the world? And she started an organization. Now, for her, it actually she ended up losing a lot of money to start with, and she just wouldn't stop. And it turned around, and she got an influx of capital. She was able to be okay, catch up on everything, and take care of these children all around the world. So it's those little things and big things, and what we're experiencing right now is something we have never experienced.
No.
I mean, I'm British, as you can probably hear, and you will. So when I think of something like this, and I live in America now, I think, apart from 9/11 and Pearl Harbor, and I do not want to denigrate what happened on those days, both horrendous experiences. I lived in the country for 9/11, I wasn't in Pearl Harbor. But it's not the same as living in England through the Second World War and having bombs dropped on you every single day, and having your children sent away from you to live in countries so that they don't get bombed. I'm sure that the people at the time thought they were doing a great service to the children. Horrible thing to do to children, to rip them away from their parents and put them elsewhere. So I'm not saying that. So this is what this is for America. This is what this is for America. This is what it felt like from what I talked to people in the war who were locked down in their houses, had to be really careful, listening for the air raid warning. Was that going to go off any minute? Was there going to be a bomb dropped on them? Were they going to lose? Were they going to hear that their, son, because of course it was only men who were fought in the Second World War, were they going to get a notice from the government saying that their son has lost their lives, or their uncle, or their dads, or so again, I can't, if there's any way to make it similar to what's going on right now in America with us being in lockdown and we don't know what's happening and who has it and who doesn't, and do we have tests, and how do we know if we've already got the antibodies? Maybe we're not the kind of person that would ever catch it anyway, and we've got all this stuff about the economy and money and so this is a huge thing. I can't talk about other countries accepting them, but for this country, this is a huge thing for us to be in a space and a place where a lot of our freedoms have been taken away from us, whether we choose to or not. Our freedoms are being taken away from us, and how do we respond to them? The freedom to make money has been taken away from those people who had jobs. Now those companies could have gone out of business, or they're going to downsize. There's going to be lots of people who don't want to go back to their jobs. There's going to be lots of people who can't go back. There's going to be many people who are going to say, you know what, I like this working from home. It's actually working for me. And their bosses are going to go, you know what, it's working for us too. In terms of finances, businesses are going to start downsizing their footprint. They're not going to need 16,000 square feet of office if they've got half of their work people working from home. So and that's all money as well. So businesses are going to be looking at, how do we downsize, but be as effective as possible, give the best customer service, because that is something Americans do. We can give the best customer service, do the best work possible. So companies are going to have to figure that out as well. So this whole financial thing, it's not just personal, it's not just in America, it's businesses and individuals that have to look at the money piece in our life. And I believe that Jupiter in Capricorn is, it's giving us this opportunity to do that. Where is it going? Where do you want it to go?
Right. I think it's teaching us patience too, because, the Capricorn is all about patience, and, Jupiter wants to run off and do things, and Capricorn says, you need some patience right now in order to figure out what the next steps are. So it's interesting, because I think people, again, we're going to be in this mode of like getting out there and running, like, hey, we're going to get back to our lives. But if we take the time to really think about things and our finances and create new structures for ourselves, I think we're going to be much happier. And I think that's something that we need to look at, because it's personal finances, it's company finances, it's global finances, it's everything. And we're all connected. We all think we're kind of in this one space, but really we're all connected. So how do we take care of our own personal finances? In addition to making sure, because, jobs, like you had that client that said, well, I'm afraid I'm going to get fired. But people who did everything, quote, right, still didn't have a job, because of what the world did. So, I read something online that said, it's kind of sad that a lot of us were one paycheck away from being in trouble financially. And so how do we change that so that doesn't happen again? And it's taking a look at things. So it is getting back to work. Absolutely. And for folks who aren't working right now, I mean, it's terrible. And there's fear, but let's look at it and know that this is going to end at some point, that we can make money again in the ways that we want. But it's got to be the ways that we want this time.
Well, that's other planets, which we're going to talk about in other sessions. Mary and I are both offering specials. I will give you mine, she'll give you hers. And this is for the next, how many days are in April?
So April 30th.
The next 16 days then, because it's the 14th. I'm going to post this. So for the next 16 days, Mary and I are offering specials. Mine is, if you would like a half-hour consultation, it's going to be $59 instead of $99. And that's for us to look at not only the next 9 months, but the next 2 years. Because, astrologically, we can look at that kind of stuff. I'll be using astrology, tarot, human design, and I'm also a coach, so I get all together and answer your questions. If you want a 1-hour session, it's going to be $99 anywhere in the world instead of the usual $150. It's you get it recorded, you get your charts, you get all your questions answered. For those of you who've already done this, you know it's extremely intense, whether it's a half an hour or an hour. Check out my website, astrologerdawn.com, my telephone number, 520-419-5419. 520-419-5419, and Dawn at astrologerdawn.com. You can check out my website. And Mary, you.
So Dawn and I are doing the same special pricing. We're doing it a little bit differently, because I do not know human design yet, but I do mediumship, which Dawn does not do. So for a half an hour consultation, you'll get astrology, tarot, and some mediumship. So you'll talk to folks that have passed away. And that's $59 for half an hour. So we'll bring in someone that you're connected to on the other side. And then for an hour-long consultation, same pricing as Dawn is doing, which is what were you, 99?
Yep.
99. So same thing. We're going to do astrology, tarot, mediumship, some coaching, just to kind of see what's coming up for you over the next year, and to have some guidance from the other side, that maybe, family that you want to talk to, or friends, or even, sometimes old coworkers come through and old bosses. So we can speak to them about what's coming up.
I prefer to deal with the living and let Mary deal with it. It doesn't mean they don't come to me, but I usually send them away. That's not my
and I forgot to tell people how to get in touch with me. Sorry. So if you want to go on my website, spiritualitygirl.com, you can email me at mary@spiritualitygirl.com, or you can call me at 781-435-1203.
Poem. Let's see if I can remember it.
We've
come to the end of all the light you know, and it's time to step into the darkness of the unknown. Faith is knowing that one of two things shall happen. Either you'll be given something solid to stand on, or you'll be taught how to fly. And I love that.
I love that.
We're going to be back again. We're going to be talking about spiritual growth, career, health, relationships. We might do relationships. They are fraught at the moment with what's going on. But please, enjoy yourself if you can. If you can't, at least behave. And
Yep.
we will see you next time. Stay.
Bye.